here we go. Like many Americans, I have the blood of more than one race flowing in my veins. My mother's family was English. My father's family descended from Chief Tarhi, a Wyandot Indian. In the early 1900s, the United States government offered each Wyandot family a small lot on Mount Rainier if they would forego living on a reservation. My family accepted this offer. Although it is only a symbol, I treasure that piece of land. Now, how come you guys aren't laughing? Most of you should be able to read that and find, you know, like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. It's all bogus. But it does have the kinds of language that someone who went through the United States education system and, well, yeah, I think we learned something about allotment. And yeah, something about Indians. Yeah, this must be the real deal. So this is a very cleverly constructed note that it adds to the status of this particular book. And of course, it's all bogus. So it's no surprise that her book, the book itself, is quite a mess. This is a newer one. This is called The Trap by John Smeltzer. It came out in 2006. In 2007, it was listed on the top 10 young adult lists from the American Library Association. So it's also getting a lot of strokes from the children's publishing world. He says in there, Smeltzer says in there, the Indian way is not to brag. I fail often, but I try. That's an interview with him when this book won an award that came with a $6,000 prize. He said he's from the Atna tribe in Alaska. So when I saw this book on that top 10 list, I thought, oh, okay, I better read it. Oh, John Smeltzer, okay. Not knowing anything, so I started writing about it. I read the first chapter. It was really early in the morning at my house. I was reading this, this book, and I have this blog, and it's called American Indians in Children's Literature, and I write about children's books. I write about frauds. I write about really good books, like some of Alexi's work or Cynthia Leitich Smith. There's good stuff out there, and I push that good stuff really hard. And the fact that I have 310,000 visits to the site matters. Children's librarians and teachers, parents, writers are reading my blog. So it is making a difference, I think, in the field where I spend most of my time. That's my goal, of course, is to change the field of children's literature so that kids get accurate children's books about American Indians and not fakes like these ones I've been showing so far. So I read the first chapter of Smeltzer's The Trap. And I thought, wow, this feels like my grandma's house at the Pueblo, because she had a wood stove, and her floorboards were wood, and we had to go down and break ice to get water. And so that's how this first chapter in this book kind of reads like that. So I thought, wow, this you know, feels okay, feels right. And I wrote about reading the first chapter and how much it reminded me of my grandmother's kitchen. So that's the first thing on my blog that morning. That was on January 27th. And I hit the upload button. Literally within about 10 minutes, I started getting emails from people saying, he's not native. And so I thought, oh, all right. And so I felt I was really awkward. It felt really awkward, you know, because here I was saying, you know, his first chapter is pretty good. And then I'm getting stuff that, well, he's a fake. So suddenly I have a real, I'm right in the thick of things there and having some decisions to make about what I'm going to do. So I immediately said, okay, if you go to my blog and you go to that page, you'll see the comments. And right in the comments, I said, all right, I'm starting to hear from people that this guy's not native. And that's a problem. And I described why it's a problem. Then I proceeded to, someone else wrote to me and said, you can find everything you need in the Anchorage Daily News. So as I started digging on this story about this man, John Smeltzer, I learned that he was hired at the University of Alaska Fairbanks in the English department as a native professor. They hired him because they believed he was native. The English department was unhappy with that hire because they felt like some of his credentials, some of the things that he submitted in order to be hired were fraudulent. And so people started looking at his application materials. And then suddenly, somehow, the identity piece came in there too. Turns out he's like a fraud in lots and lots of ways. He submitted a letter for his hiring portfolio that said he had some poetry published in the New Yorker. And there was a letter in there from an editor at the New Yorker. It was a fake. And so then the questions of his native identity started to be raised too. I'm not sure how, because you know all I have is the newspaper to look at. But I also called the tribal office and I said, can I, and I don't usually do that. I'm uncomfortable with calling a tribal office to say, is so-and-so enrolled? I'm just uncomfortable doing that. I've never done that. This is the first time that I felt, well, okay, now I have to do that. So I called up there, and they said, oh, no, he's not Alaskan. He's not. He was adopted by an Alaskan man, and so he's not Alaska. He's not that tribe, Otna tribe. So we started having these emails, and the next email the woman said, the clerk said, I can't talk to you anymore. The tribal lawyer said that I must not talk to you anymore. And I thought, well, now this is really getting interesting. I wonder what's going on up there. Next thing I did was have a phone call from his dad. And his dad said, he is adopted. He is not Native. And the Anchorage paper said the guy he was trying to say that his dad is, that he's Alaska Native. The dad, in the newspaper article, the dad says, no, he's not. So there's this family feud. I'm not sure if I'm being real clear about this. There's a family feud going on here. I don't know what the son did to make his adopted dad angry and deny his identity at all. The father is saying, you're not Native and stop using it. It's all over the Anchorage newspapers, this family struggle. But what became even more interesting in this whole particular stories, the adoption community, not the Native adoption community, but the larger adoption community, was angry at me because they said anytime a person is adopted, they become whatever the parent is. And I thought, wow, okay. It gets very complicated. John Smeltzer was angry that I was writing about his identity on my blog so publicly, and he wrote to me an angry email and said, take that off because I'm going to sue you if you don't take that off. I ignored it. Then he sent a second email saying, please stop doing that, and I ignored that. And the third one, he said, please, please stop doing that. You're hurting my career. And at that point, I wrote to him and I said, your dad called me. He said, you're not Native. And so he left me alone. He hasn't bothered me since. But the reason that I'm looking at these 4 cases, or that I bring these 4 up, is that when we're talking about children in elementary school or in a high school, teachers ask them, you get in trouble if you cheat on your homework, right? You get in trouble if you're cheating on your spelling test. Your teacher teaches you that when you're doing a research project, you're supposed to have some integrity in that process. You don't plagiarize. You're honest in what you're doing. And I think that when children are asked to do author studies, so if someone reads The Trap, they should be able to have a positive experience learning about who John Smeltzer is, and here they get a fraud. They get this big old fake story. Same thing with Jamaki Highwater. So what are we doing to kids is I guess my concern within children's literature. When we have people who are saying that they're something that they're not, I think that we have a responsibility to the child audience that may not be the same case for other places. But anyway, so that's my work. I'm looking at children's literature, and I look for good literature that is written by Native people who can provide information that is actually reflective of a Native community. Louise Erdrich and Cynthia Leitich Smith and Sherman Alexie, their books are the ones that should be winning awards. But these guys are the ones that are winning awards. And it's all a problem. It's a problem for our kids, and it's a problem for all kids. And I wish that more of you were taking that up. Because I think we can talk about what it means in the academy, but I think we need to pay attention to what it means to our kids. What hurt is being done to kids when people are making fraudulent claims of identity. I guess that's all I've got to say. Thank you.